So let me know, is audio and video both okay? All okay. So let's start. How are you all? So in the last class, we have discussed the last topic, that was a different financial market. These are the financial market we have discussed in the last class. So first of all, do let me know who regulates these market. Money market is regulated by whom? First, let me know money market is regulated by whom? RBI. Very good. Money market is regulated by no. Why you are saying SEBI, Ria ma'am? We have discussed now. Money market is a short-term market that is regulated by RBI. Okay, not the SEBI. Second, forex market, or we can call it a foreign exchange market. So forex market or foreign exchange market is regulated by whom? Very good. This is also regulated by RBI. Hana, forex market is also regulated by RBI. Correct. Next, if we talk about the capital market is regulated by whom? Capital market regulated by whom? Now that is SEBI. Capital market is regulated by whom? It is regulated by SEBI, Securities and Exchange Board of India. Okay. Now insurance market is regulated by Adda, Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority of India. Very good. So these are the different types of financial market, and this is regulated by them. As a capital market includes two types of market. Let me know the name of those markets. So we have discussed that capital market includes both the markets. What are the names of those markets? Now let's start. And now we have to discuss the certain history of Indian financial system. So when we are studying the Indian financial system overview, so we have to study how this financial system evolved. Like right now, we have a different types of banks. Scheduled banks, non-scheduled banks are there. Non-banking financial institutions are there. Apart from that, money lenders are there. So we have to study how these institutions came into existence. And that's why we have to study the development of financial system. Not the recent development, but we are starting from the initial stages where we have started developing the financial institution in Indian economy. So this is the phases of development of financial system in our country. Very good. There are two types of market, that is debt market and equity market. That's correct. Okay, now the development stages, if we talk about, first of all, you can see that Indian financial system has come a long way from the times when finance was left basically in the hands of traders and merchants. And that was the informal financial system. Initially, the overall financial system was in the hands of the traders and merchants. And they were deciding by themselves whatever they want. According to that, they were deciding what rate of interest they want to charge and etc. But now after that, we can say now the financial system has been divided into two parts, and we have introduced the commercial bank, your payment bank, small finance bank. Recently introduced banks are the payment bank, small finance bank. Now, history has recorded the first commercial bank set up in India was Bank of Hindustan. So the first Bank of India. Now, this is very important. This statement is very important. You have to remember this. Like, which particular bank was the first Bank of India? And the first Bank of India was Bank of Hindustan, established in the year 1770. Okay, so the commercial banking system, or I can say the formal financial system in our country, started in the year 1770. Now, similarly, the first insurance company to be set up in India was National Insurance Company in the year 1906, and the company is still in existence. So if we talk about how this financial system started, so the financial system started with the opening of first commercial bank, that was the Bank of Hindustan, and it has its headquarter in Kolkata, and it was established in the year 1770, right? And the first insurance company was established in the year 1906, and that was the National Insurance Company. Acha, what is the current name of this national insurance company? What we are calling this national insurance company, because you can see it is written here that it is still in existence. So what is the name of this national insurance company now? Let me know. So the Bank of Hindustan and National Insurance Company here is important to remember. Now the phases. If we talk about the development of financial system in India, it has been divided, or I can say segmented, in a certain phase. It means phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Accordingly, it has been divided. So there are certain phases that has been segmented to develop the financial system. So first we have a pre-independence era. Pre-independence means obviously from prior to 1947. So we got the independence in the year 1947. So before that, what used to happen in country, that we are going to discuss here. Achha, first let me know who started the paper currency. The paper currency formation started by whom in India? Because RBI was established in 1935, right? And from 1935, RBI started printing the currency. That was the paper currency. But before that, we used to have a paper currency or not? We used to have paper currency before that or not? Let me know. Okay, maximum are saying no. We used to have the paper currency, and the paper currency was used to be printed by the British government of India. There used to be the Paper Currency Act 1861. Under that particular act, the British government of India used to print the paper currency, right? And after 1935, RBI got this authority to print the paper currency. So the act, Paper Currency Act, was executed, and the new act was introduced. That was the RBI Act 1934, whose section 22 talks about this, that RBI has the sole right to print all the denomination of currency except rupee 1. Only 1 rupee note will be printed by Government of India. All the other notes will be printed by RBI only, right? So now this is what we're talking about. Prior to 1947, RBI was established, but RBI was the private bank at that time. Why RBI was the private bank, we will be discussing further. Okay. Now, the second phase you can see here was from 1947 to 1991. So after independence, post independence you can call. And why till 1991? Because in 1991 we have introduced the LPG policy, and this was the biggest reform in Indian economy, right? So that's why this is the post independence part 1. Then post liberalization. Now why liberalization? 91 to 2010 it was post liberalization because of the LPG policy. Achha, do let me know the full form of LPG. Do let me know the full form of LPG policy. It is known as economic reform. You can call it a new market reform. You can call it a free economy, right? So, or free market reforms, you can call this policy. So, LPG was introduced, and because of the LPG was introduced in 1991 by Dr. Manmohan Singh. He was the finance minister at that time in our country. So, after that, we used to call the period the post liberalization period. Okay, and the next one we have post global financial crisis period, and that was what the global crisis that we have faced in 2007-8. After that, whatever the period we are following right now, that is known as post global financial crisis. Okay, now after a while, after a certain decade, we will start calling 2019, after 2019 era, as a post COVID outbreak era. Maybe we can do so. Hana? So this is what the 4 phases of development of financial system in India. And the answer is very much correct. Liberalization, privatization, and globalization. Very good. LPG stand for liberalization, privatization, and globalization. Okay, now let's start with the first phase, that is the pre-independence era. Okay, so that starts prior to 1947. Now, what used to happen before 1947? Achha, Indian economy used to be socialistic economy. Now, what does socialistic economy means? We are going to study the economic system in the Indian economy chapters of this Indian economy, Indian financial system. That is module A and B. In the module A and B, we are going to discuss or we are going to study economics here. है ना? So the socialistic economic system is a part of your A and B module, but let's have a certain understanding. There are three economic systems: capitalistic. Second is we have socialistic, and third we have mixed. Now let me know what is the difference between these three. What are these? What does socialistic economic system or capitalistic economic system or mixed economic system means? Okay. Ravi sir is saying government. Government what? Or you can say the system which is regulated by government is socialistic. Okay. Right. So everyone is saying the system which is regulated by government is your socialistics. Okay, ठीक है. So there are three economic systems. First, capitalistic economic system is a system which is I can say the system which is formulated by, or I can say governed by, the private industries, that is capitalistic. Second, it is run by government, and mixed will be run by both the private and government both. Now, in case of capitalistic economy, we know private industrialist runs the economy in the capitalistic economy. It means what to produce, how to produce, for whom to produce. These three major questions of economy will be answered by the private industrialists here. And same will be answered by government in the socialistic, same will be answered by both in the mixed economy. And it's very basic. Capitalistic economy means the economy that will or that is run by the private industrialists. It's not like they are deciding the law and justice for our country. No, it means there are three major questions of every economy, like what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce. And if these three questions answer will be given by the private industrialists, that will be your capitalistic, and answer given by government, that is socialistic, and then the both, that will be a mixed. So capitalistic economy always work for the profit maximization because private industrialists are there and they focus on the profit maximization. Second, socialistic economy is the economy that focuses on what we can call it century. We see in the Kautilya Arthashastra, which contains reference to 47, this used to happen. And that was the reference that we have taken to creditors and lenders. Now you can see during the pre-independence phase, a large number of banks were present in India, which was around 600. Because the first Bank of India was established in 1770, that's why we used to have a lot of bank till then. But not all was successful, right? Now, the establishment of Bank of Hindustan in the year 1770 in Calcutta, because it has the headquarter at Calcutta, marked the starting of the formal Indian financial system. So the formal Indian financial system in India started in 1770 with the establishment of Bank of Hindustan. This bank, however, discontinued its services in 1832. Right? This bank failed, and in 1832 it stopped working. Now, next. There were various banks that evolved after the Hindustan Bank, such as General Bank of India, 1786 to 1791. Oath Commercial Bank, 1881 to 1958. So this Oath Commercial Bank was the first commercial bank of what? Of Commercial Bank was the first commercial bank of what? Of limited liability. This was the first bank of limited liability, and because of the same reason, this bank failed. Because Awadh Commercial Bank was the first bank of limited liability, and because of the same reason, this particular bank failed. Clear? Achha, do let me know what does this limited liability bank means. We have discussed yesterday that the liability of a bank is what the public deposit. Hana, the liability of a bank is what? Public deposit. And limited liability banks, it's very obvious that the bank which has a certain guidelines or restriction at the time of accepting the deposit. Like you have a limitations. The limited liability has been allowed to you. And because of this bank was failed because limited deposits were accepted here, and the bank has taken the deposit and provided the loan to the customer, and customer did the default, and that's why bank was failed in your 1958 duration. Clear? Achha, do let me know, is there any bank who has a limited deposit acceptance policy right now? Yes, limited product and services. And when it comes to the bank's product and services, that is known as liability of a bank is what? Deposit. First class, I have showed you in the first class what kind of questions can be asked. So each terminology meaning is very important to all of you, right? So if I talk about payment bank was established by RBI in 2015 for the purpose of financial inclusion, right? And the payment bank has a restriction earlier in 2015. It has the restriction that only 1 lakh per customer 1 lakh per customer is allowed to accept deposit. This is the limit for deposits, that the customer can only deposit 1 lakh rupees in the payment bank. This was the limit of the payment bank, but now this limit has been changed. Now let me know what is the limit. Now in 2020 RBI has changed this limit. The limit will be per definition for financial inclusion, because each and every bank is providing services, but each and every bank is charging high fee on the services also. So what is financial inclusion? It is the process. It is a process of what? To link each and every person With what? With financial rupees, 10 lakh rupees, 15 lakh rupees, 1000 or 2000 or 200 rupees. No. If I want to open a bank account, there should be affordable cost. That can be a zero, that can be 100, that can be, and then it will be known as your financial inclusion. You are trying to link each and every person with what? With the financial product and services, and how you want to link them at an affordable cost. This is what you have to focus on. Okay. Now, if you are giving definition to someone, focus on that. So, Awadh Commercial Bank was there. It is also known as Awadh Commercial Bank. It failed due to limited liability. Okay, and it was the first bank of limited liability. Now, if I talk about the next part, this is saying that the earliest precursors of the present State Bank of India, namely Bank of Calcutta, was established in 1806. This was later renamed as Bank of Bengal in 1809. Now, what used to happen, like what happened earlier to form the SBI? So, we can see here there used to be the presidency banks. The first presidency bank named as Bank of Bengal in 1806. Sorry, 1809. Okay, now after that, in 1840, we got the second presidency bank, and that bank was Bank of Bombay. Bank of Bombay. It was established in 1840, right? After this, we got third presidency bank, and that bank named as Bank of Madras. And this bank was established in the year 1843. In which year? 1843, right? So these used to be the three presidency bank: Bank of Bengal, Bank of Bombay, and Bank of Madras. Now, what happened in the year 1921? In which year? In the year 1921, all these banks were amalgamated. All these banks were amalgamated. Now, what does amalgamation means? If I talk about amalgamation, what does it mean? Means, if I talk about amalgamation, what does it mean? There are three terms. If I talk about merger, amalgamation, and then we have joint venture. These three terms are very common, and all of you have heard about this. If I talk about the merger means what? When two companies are coming together, they are merging their 100% State Bank of India in 1955. Now, apart from that, if we talk about in the succeeding year, on 1st of September 1956, 245 private insurance companies were nationalized to form what? To form the Life Insurance Corporation of India. How many companies? 245 private companies was formed, and then LIC has become. And you can see easily that's why LIC is the biggest insurance company, and that's why SBI is the biggest bank of our country. Now, while the economy was coming under increasing degrees of socialism, bank finance was still outreach of most of population. Obviously, because people were not trusting on the banks, and people were not. Imperial Bank of India was under the ownership of government after the independence, but people were not trusting on Imperial Bank of India because they have this mentality. This bank was formed by Britishers. Maybe they will take our money. So that's why the name of Imperial Bank of India changed into SBI, so that people will start trusting on the bank, State Bank of India. It means it's India's bank. You can open account, you can trust on the bank. That's why it has been done. So while the economy was coming under increasing degree of socialism, the bank finance was still out of the reach of most of the population. The money lenders have become too exploitative, and poor people could not afford to take the bank loan due to the lack of collaterals. Collateral means security. If I am taking loan, I have to give something as a security to the bank. Otherwise, bank will not provide me the loan. So this issue was there. Now, the bank themselves were selectively catering to large industries and businesses, and the slowing growth of the agricultural sector, small scale industries, right? And exports showing its ill effects. This was followed by 2 years of crippling droughts in 1964 and 1968. 65 and 66, and the country had to resort to heavy imports of food grains, financial aid from overseas. So if we talk about the duration of 1964, 65, 66, there was a drought, and also war. Pak war, India-China war was there. So the food grains was not there, and for that we have to import the food grains. We have to import the funds also, and like we have to ask the funds from the foreign countries also. So this issue we have faced. At the same time, poor people were not able to get the credit, and at the same time, money lenders were exploiting the people, and they were charging too much interest rate from the people. So these all was coming together at the same time, and that's why the third 5-year plan of the country was failed. That's why the third 5-year of country plan of the planning commission was failed. That's why the plan holiday of the 3 years was introduced by government of India. These all were the reason. Now, in an attempt to bring in tight social control over the banking sector, the government nationalized the 14 private sector banks in 1969, and after that 6 more private sector banks in 1980. So nationalization of banks was done 2 times. Now, what is nationalization? Let's understand that also. What is nationalization? So nationalization means simply selling the ownership of private companies to the government. Like we have any private entity. Okay, and when the shares of this entity, shares 51 or more than 51 shares, is purchased by whom? Government. Then this process is known as nationalization. So whenever government of any country purchases the 51% shares or more than shares of the private entity, that process is known as nationalization. And why it has been done? So that ownership transferred to the government. Why it has been done? To transfer the ownership to the government. And it has been done in India for 2 times. 2 times we have done the nationalization. The first nationalization was done in 1969, and 14 banks were nationalized. Why only 14 banks? Does in 1969 only we had 14 banks? We only had 14 banks in 1969. No, na. In 1770, the first Bank of India was launched. That was the Bank of Hindustan. And after that, so many banks was introduced. So many banks was established. So it doesn't mean only 14 banks were there. But yes, the criteria was there. The minimum deposit criteria. That was 50 crores. So those bank who has the public deposit minimum of 50 crores, only those banks were purchased by government of India. And at that time, we had only 14 banks, 14 such banks. So the 14 major commercial banks was purchased by the government of India, and that was the first nationalization. Now, the second nationalization happened in 1980. And the 6 major commercial banks were nationalized. Why only 6? Because again, there was a criteria of minimum deposit of 200 crores. Minimum deposit of 200 crores. Okay, so total how many banks were nationalized? Total how many banks were nationalized? 20 banks were nationalized. How many banks were nationalized? Total 20 banks were nationalized. Clear? But at present, we have only 11 nationalized banks. How many banks we have? 11 nationalized banks that are present in India. So where are the other 9 banks that has been merged? Not 12, it's 11. 12 are the public sector banks in India, but the nationalized bank only 11. Okay. Now, so this is the nationalization process that happened. Now, how this nationalization happened and how many banks are there, that we will be discussing, but in next class. Right now, you can see in 1969, these are the 14 banks that was nationalized. And in 1980, these are the 6 banks which were nationalized. Okay, so all these banks used to be the private bank, but now they have become government bank after the nationalization of 1969 and 1980. And it was done under the Bank Nationalization Act. It was done under the Bank Nationalization Act 1969. And this order of nationalization of bank was given by the Prime Minister, that was Mrs. Indira Gandhi. At both time, at both time, she was the Prime Minister of the country, and she has given the order to nationalize the banks. And it was required because the private banks were working more for their own profit, for the profit maximization. And at the ground level, no authority was there who is going to check that whatever is happening in the country is right or not. If the banks are focusing on the development of the economy or not. So that's why it is very important. After having RBI also, we were facing the same issue. Reason was the same, that at the ground level, the government has, or RBI has, no approach. And that's why it has said that should be a certain public sector bank, which actually at the ground level are going to do what? The social welfare. Clear? Let me know any doubt in today's session. Is there any doubt in today's session? Govind sir, you cannot download the PDF, but yes, what you can see, you can check the PDF on the application. In the practice book, you will find the PDF available. Okay, the PDF will be available at the practice book. You can read it online. You can't download that. So let me know any doubt in today's session. Also, you can join the Telegram channel that will be with the name of mine, Amanjyot Kaur. You will find the Telegram channel with the name of Amanjyot Kaur, and you can join that particular Telegram channel. As you can join that particular channel, after that we will be starting having a certain quiz on the Telegram channel. So do join the Telegram channel by searching my name, Amanjyot Kaur. Okay. No doubts, everything is clear. So let's meet again tomorrow at the same time, 7 p.m. Okay, so let's end here. After this, how many banks are nationalized banks are there, how they have merged, and with which bank they have merged, we will start from tomorrow. Okay. Ma'am, you can search my name, Amanjyot, Amanjyot Kaur. If you type on the Telegram, you will find it. You can join from there. Okay. Chalo, so let's end here. See you all tomorrow. After I end the class, you will find a feedback page. Do not forget to fill that particular page. Okay. And see you tomorrow at the same time for the demo. And at 8:30, we are having the principles and practices of banking series on YouTube. So do check Offices at a 24/7 channel. At 8:30, I'm taking the PPB classes also. So do join the PPB class also. Okay. So take care all. Bye-bye. Good night. See you.